400 years ago, a great evil called Anslasax descended upon the world and was born from all of the darkness and sins of humankind. It devastated the entire world, bringing them back to the Dark Ages. But soon, a dragon knight appeared from a pillar of light and defeated it. This legend faded into obscurity, and back in the present, the kingdom of Metallicana is now being attacked by the forces of the late evil wizard, Dark Schneider, which is made up of monsters and demons who call themselves the Dark Rebel Army. Due to the absence of the king, the enemy quickly overwhelmed the soldiers, who fall back to the city cathedral to ensure the survival of their princess, Princess Sheila Tool Metallicana. Two friends, an older fiery Tia Noto Yoko, and the childish and scaredy cat, Lucian, are among the survivors. Upon learning that the enemy will soon break into the cathedral, she considers using a forbidden spell taught to her by her father, who is the great priest Gio, and undo a seal on Lucian that will release the spirit of Dark Schneider, transforming him into an incarnation of the wizard. However, the seal can only be opened by the kiss of a chaste virgin, and so Yoko never takes a husband. When the enemy breaks through the cathedral doors, Tia is left with no other choice, and she kisses Lucian, transforming him into Dark Schneider, a tall, white-haired man with a fearsome aura. Dark Schneider kills several ogres and regenerates his clothes using magic. He still recognizes his friend Yoko, having kept Lucian's memories after being reincarnated into Dark Schneider. However, his appearance shocks all of the soldiers and the princess, who recall that Dark Schneider once nearly brought the whole kingdom of Metallicana to a ruin during the Golem War, which was around 15 years ago, before he was defeated by Prince Lars, Sheila's brother. He casted reincarnation magic to escape. Back in the present, Dark Schneider initially refuses to help fight back against the invaders, but when Yoko reprimands him, he reluctantly agrees. He kills all the monsters present in the room, and a desperate Osborne tries to cast a lightning spell, but it has no effect on him. Dark Schneider then destroys him with an energy blast spell called Venom. He tells Yoko his plan to set out on a journey to take revenge on her father for sealing him away, and to conquer the world. He promises to spare her, and they kiss, but he transforms back into Lucian, apparently unaware of all that has transpired. Other generals of the Dark Rebel Army learn of Osborne's defeat, and they suspect Dark Schneider has now returned, when they learn that Venom was used to kill him, a spell that only he would know. Despite their earlier victory over Osborne, the threat to Metallicana remains when the king learns of the fall of Castle Judas and King Glenn, and another army marches on their kingdom as they speak. The great priest, Gio, brings Yoko and Lucian to the king. The soldiers interpret the dark clouds and lightning stirring in the distance as omens heralding the revival of Anslasax. They receive news of a sorcerer and Hydra breaching their gates, and they pressure Yoko to awaken Dark Schneider once more. Although reluctant to do so, they have no other way to fight back against the Hydra, so Yoko kisses Lucian, awakening Dark Schneider. However, he is uncooperative, and ministers try to have him apprehended, but he easily eliminates the guards. Dark Schneider then turns his attention to Gio and tries to kill him despite Yoko's protests. However, Gio casts an anti-magic shield that deflects his lightning bolt. Dark Schneider, aware that Gio is also an expert hand-to-hand combatant, instead summons a golem, hidden deep beneath the castle. While the golem goes on a rampage, the sorcerer, Kevijubu, who introduces himself as a disciple of the wizard Kalsu, appears alongside his Hydra, challenging Dark Schneider. The golem makes quick work of the Hydra, while Venom is sufficient to eliminate Kevijubu. He turns his attention to Gio once again, but Yoko tearfully asks him to stop, saying he is not the Lucian she knows. Seeing her cry, he explains that he and Lucian are two sides of the same soul. If one would die, so would the other. If Lucian loves Yoko, then so does he. Taking pity on her, he kisses her to transform back into Lucian. The Dark Ninja Master, Gara, one of the Dark Rebel Army's 4 divine kings, recognizes the beam of light as that killed Kevijubu as Venom, confirming the return of Dark Schneider. He explains to his men that Dark Schneider once led him and the other rebel army leaders in a great conquest around the world, and wonders why he is defending the kingdoms now. The ministers are concerned that the dark clouds have yet to clear, and Gio explains that the seal over Anslasax is guarded over by 4 noble families, including theirs. With the fall of Castle Judas, the first seal is broken, heralding humanity's extinction. Yoko asks who Kalsu is, and Gio replies that he was once one of Dark Schneider's closest friends, and was fearsome enough to be considered his equal, perhaps even his superior. The ministers want Yoko to summon Dark Schneider again, as the threat of the Dark Rebel Army still looms close by, but she refuses to do so, saying that they are not their tools to be used. While the kingdom prepares for the inevitable war, Gara infiltrates Yoko's house, asking her where Dark Schneider is. When she feigns ignorance, Gara tries to sexually assault her, but Dark Schneider suddenly manifests himself in Lucian, as the seal has been significantly weakened after Yoko awakened him twice. He orders Gara to stay away from his woman, as Gio bursts into the room. Gaara, now cornered, summons a wyvern, kidnaps Yoko, and escapes. Geo brings Lucian to the king's throne room to explain the situation. Sheila offers to awaken Dark Schneider as she has been practicing the necessary magic to do so. Her father, the king, protests as a kiss is a symbol of marriage among royalty. She proceeds despite his protests and summons Dark Schneider. However, he is largely indifferent to Yoko's predicament, and when he says that he does not care what happens to her, Sheila slaps him in the face. Dark Schneider ends up agreeing to rescue Yoko, accompanied by Sheila and the king's men. They use a secret passage towards Gaara's base, and they defeat his ninjas along the way. Meanwhile, Gaara tells Yoko about Dark Schneider's many sexual relations with women, including that of a fellow Dark Rebel Army general, and Yoko wonders if he loves her. Tired of her stubbornness, Gaara looses a special breed of slime to assault Yoko, melting off her clothes. Outside, Dark Schneider blasts a hole in the front entrance of the castle, where they come face to face with a minotaur. They race towards the ladder at the back of the room, and Dark Schneider exploits the soldiers' desire to show off their honor by telling them to fight the minotaur while he and Sheila ascend the ladder. Once they reach the next floor, the two of them face off against a one-eyed monster called Dogazemon, which effortlessly absorbs Dark Schneider's spells. Sheila goes behind it and knocks it off balance, disabling its barrier, enabling him to kill it. Gaara tells Yoko that although he was once a disciple of Dark Schneider, 16 years has passed, and he will only work with him if the gap between their power levels has not yet disappeared. Dark Schneider tells Sheila that he used too much magic so far and is likely to only have 1 or 2 more spells left, so he is counting on her to join the fight against Gaara. She mindlessly picks up a sword left lying about, but it is a cursed sword and she is unable to control it. Dark Schneider snatches it from her hand to protect her, but he is injured in the process. Realizing that it was laced with a potent poison, he asks her to suck it out from his stomach. Yoko asks Gaara what he plans to do when they revive Anslasax, and he replies that they intend to create a new world order. He reveals that they have a way to bend the demon god to their will. While Sheila works to remove the poison from Dark Schneider's body, Efreet, a flame demon, emerges from the cursed sword, demanding to know who disturbed his sleep. Efreet casts Hellion to suppress Dark Schneider, forcing him to use a magic barrier to protect himself and Sheila. When Efreet's fire begins burning even hotter, he realizes that the barrier protecting them will not hold. He tells Sheila not to move as he leaves the barrier, casting a fire spell called Exodus. Efreet is initially unfazed, confident that he can withstand any fire-based spell, but Dark Schneider uses Efreet's own fire magic as a booster, defeating him. Now in possession of the fire sword, he enters the room where Gaara is holding Yoko and demands that she be set free. However, the Gaara knows that Dark Schneider is in a precarious condition from his continuous fighting. He tries goading Dark Schneider to reveal his true personality, but when he simply complains that Gaara saw Yoko naked before he did, Gaara is perplexed. Gaara challenges Dark Schneider to a fight for 5 minutes to see the difference between their levels, while Sheila tends to Yoko. Dark Schneider casts Venom, and Gaara interrupts him by slicing off his arm, but the spell goes off anyway, destroying Gaara's own arm. Gaara, confident he has the advantage, tries to dissuade Dark Schneider from fighting by saying that he raped Yoko, which she vehemently denies. This enraged Dark Schneider casts Megadeth to destroy the entire castle. Gaara, saved by a barrier created by Dark Schneider, admits defeat and gains newfound respect for his old comrade. Dark Schneider tells Yoko that he loves her even if she is no longer a virgin, but he angrily hits him, saying that that was obviously a lie. Gaara then informs them that the kingdom of Metallicana is currently being attacked by the 3rd unit of the Dark Rebel Army, this entire fiasco merely a distraction. Khal-Su learns of Gaara's betrayal, and he places his hopes in Arshasni, one of the 4 divine kings and commander of the 3rd unit. The battle at Metallicana is at a stalemate, but Arshas refuses to surrender and continues the assault. She receives a mission from Khal-Su's to kill Dark Schneider, confirming her own suspicious about his revival. That night, she sees an illusion of Dark Schneider in her dreams, who caresses her body. Remembering that he built a harem of women, he angrily smacks him on the head and fires off a lightning bolt. She awakens and assigns one of her generals, Sean Ari, to kill him in her stead. While going through a forest, Dark Schneider, accompanied by Gaara's small pet dragon, Lars, rescues a young girl from a giant spider, and she invites them into her house for food and rest as thanks. That night, the girl offers her virginity to Dark Schneider, and he eagerly partakes. However, it is all a trap, and the girl is actually Ari in disguise. She places a talisman on his back, which summons a giant spider, which seemingly kills him. Dark Schneider applauds her efforts, revealing what she witnessed was just an illusion. He explains he knew she was trying to kill him the whole time, leaving Ari helpless. Ari, realizing just how great of a man he is, begins falling for him, and the two embrace for the night. The next morning, she warns him of another general out to kill him. Arshas learns of Ari's failure, correctly guessing that he was able to seduce her. She curses him, calling him the enemy of women everywhere. Dark Schneider is confronted by Kai Harn and his band of orcs, the latter of whom are easily defeated. To Lars' dismay, Dark Schneider is more preoccupied with deciding if he or Kai is more handsome. After an initial melee, Kai asks him what he did to Ari, and he lies by saying that he took her virginity, which angers him. Dark Schneider then uses the fire sword of Efreet, destroying Kai's armor, revealing that she is a girl, much to Dark Schneider's surprise. She uses her magic gifted to her by Arshas, which starts to turn him into stone. He is helpless when he realizes that it is no simple petrification spell, but a type of ancient magic. Kai bears a grudge against him for taking away Ari's purity, so she decides to kill him on the spot instead of allowing him to turn to stone. However, the blast is intercepted by a spider created by Ari, who has come to defend Dark Schneider, confusing Kai. Despite her talisman magic, Ari is easily overpowered by Kai. But in Kai's haste, she accidentally says the god connected to her ancient magic, enabling Dark Schneider to cancel out her petrification spell, as the god connected to his ancient magic is superior to hers. Kai falls to her knees, powerless to stop him, but Ari begs for Dark Schneider to spare Kai. As a last resort, Kai summons a cicatrice to fight Dark Schneider, whose petrifying breath threatens to turn him and Ari to stone. However, a change in the wind causes the breath to go towards her instead, causing her to drop the crystal she uses to control the cicatrice, and the monster goes berserk. Now that the cicatrice is no longer being controlled, he easily kills it. Kai tells him to kill her, or else he will regret it, but he instead picks her up and encourages her to try, but he must first tend to her wounds, which causes her to fall for him. He lays her down on the grass and sucks out the poison from her wounds, causing her to writhe in pleasure. She then warns him of the third general, Diamond, who is rumored to have made himself immortal. While walking through enemy territory, Dark Schneider reverts into Lucian after using too much magic power. Lucian runs into Yoko in a forest, and she is relieved to see him safe and sound. However, the soldiers assigned to guard her express distrust towards Lars when they learn he is affiliated with Gara, but Yoko reassures them that this is no issue. The guards note that Lars shares the same name as Prince Lars, who is said to have transformed himself into a dragon to fight Dark Schneider years ago. Diamond has become a vampire who has werewolves seek virgins for him to drink so that he can sustain his youth and power. One of his werewolves attack Yoko, but this angers Dark Schneider, whose personality manifests itself in Lucian's body, and he kills him, but not before learning that Diamond plans to usurp both Arshas and Kalsu. Yoko scolds Lucian for this act of cruelty, declaring that she never taught him to act like that, and he apologizes. Diamond, who was watching the whole thing, realizes that Dark Schneider's revival is not yet complete, and orders Lucian and Yoko to be captured. Back at his castle, he basks in how easy it was to capture him. His attendant, Jado, has also captured both Kai and Ari, but the two were only pretending to be caught and attacked Diamond. However, he has become far too powerful for them to handle, and he begins sucking on Kai's blood. Kai and Ari remain adamant, confident that Dark Schneider would not lose to him if he were here, but Diamond taunts them, saying that Dark Schneider is no more than a little child. Seeing Kai's unconscious body triggers Dark Schneider to begin manifesting himself through Lucian's body, but the two personalities begin fighting for control. When Diamond kicks Yoko, Dark Schneider overpowers Lucian's personality, and he transforms completely. Angered that Yoko was hurt, he fires off a lightning bolt, which is supposedly effective against vampires, but Diamond has powered up from sucking Kai's blood, leaving him unharmed. Diamond melts Dark Schneider with a laser beam from his horrifying Yoko and Ari, who now brace themselves against Diamond's onslaught. However, it turns out that Dark Schneider's lightning bolt severely damaged Diamond's nervous system. Preventing him from aiming properly, the man he killed was Jado. In a move of desperation, Diamond spins around while firing off lasers at rapid speed, but Dark Schneider catches one of his bolts and fires it back at him, which ends up hitting a wall and exposing Diamond to the sun, seemingly killing him, but he rises from the ashes as a bat, which Dark Schneider places a spell called Accused, which binds the recipient to the caster's will. If he tries to go against his will in the future, their nail will turn purple, and if they continue being disobedient, it will turn red, and they will transform into a toad forever. Dark Schneider tends to Kai's wounds, while Ari asks him the exact relationship between him and Yoko, to which he replies, "The woman who will bear my children," a statement which causes Yoko to smack him on the head. Kalsu and Abigail, another of the four divine kings, learn of Diamond's defeat and that two of Arsha's generals have switched sides, leading them to question Arsha's allegiances. To put their suspicions to rest, she agrees to be placed under Abigail's own accused spell. When she leaves, he laughs, saying that the only way she could ever undo the spell is to rip out Dark Schneider's beating heart. Meanwhile, Gaara has been defending the kingdom of Metallicana from hordes of monsters and demons, earning him the respect among the soldiers. Abigail completes the accused spell on Arshas, while he and Kalsu are increasingly concerned and threatened at Dark Schneider's recent exploits. They hasten to break the remaining seals of the royal families, to revive Anslasax and build society anew. Meanwhile, Ari intends to bring Arshas to a temple to recover completely, and she bids farewell to Dark Schneider and Yoko. The two then begin to travel back to the kingdom of Metallicana. Arshas arrives to break the stalemate against Gaara, and the two are initially evenly matched. Gaara creates copies of himself and uses his ultimate move, True Magican, slash faster than the speed of sound, but Arshas correctly predicts that there is only one actual slash coming for her, and she stops it. However, the force of the slash is sufficient to destroy her legendary lightning sword, Reincarnates. Confident that he has beaten her, he tells her to stand down. He explains that he never wanted to create a new world like the rest of the Divine Kings, and that he simply wanted to have fun. Despite her broken sword, Arshas attacks him once more with a secret technique, a blade made of pure lightning. The blade passes right through Gaara's sword, Mirasame, and he is mortally wounded. Before Arshas can deal the finishing blow, Dark Schneider appears in a flash of light. Dark Schneider goes to Arshas, touching her weak spots, and her knees tremble. He tells her that he's always loved her the most despite his many partners, and she begins falling for him again. However, she remembers that she still has the accused spell on her, and she forces herself away from him, and she escapes, swearing to kill him for all his years of infidelity. The heavy rains signal a reprieve for the kingdom of Metallicana from further attacks, as the demons refuse to go out in the rain. Yoko is mad at Dark Schneider for his lecherous actions and gives him fewer rations during dinner. When he tries to protest, she lectures him instead, and the soldiers are amused that he is so easily subdued. Meanwhile, Gio and Sheila consult with his grandmother regarding how Dark Schneider was able to break through the seal multiple times. Using her crystal ball, she answers that the seal was made using the power of Inomata, the goddess of love and beauty. The seal itself has not weakened, but it can be bypassed if the intention to break out of it is out of love, which causes her to conclude that incidents wherein the seal was broken was due to love, which perplexes Gio. Suddenly, they see another vision of Dark Schneider collapsed on the floor, with his heart ripped out. Sheila goes and warns him of his fate, who laughs that she fell for such a vision. She says she no longer wants to see him get hurt defending the kingdom and begs him not to go. He says that his goal was always to take over the world. Him fighting against the rebel Dark Army is simply because he doesn't want anyone else conquering the world before he does. He puts her worries at ease and starts to bed her, but Yoko enters the room to stop him. He looks out the window and notices a violent thunderstorm, and notices that there are restless spirits. Right outside, Arshas casts Megadeth on the entire castle. The castle sustains heavy damage, forcing Dark Schneider, Yoko, Sheila, and Gaara out into the open. Dark Schneider prepares to battle Arshas and borrows a coin from Yoko. Arshas swoops in on her griffin, Raba, while Dark Schneider casts magic allowing him to fly. In turn, Arshas casts a spell which absorbs nearby magic energy, robbing Dark Schneider of his flight as well as any combat spells he can muster. He soon realizes he is at a disadvantage against Arshas' swordplay, but Efreet suddenly appears and transforms himself into the fire sword. He cuts down Raba, forcing Arshas to fight him on foot. Although the soldiers are confident in Dark Schneider's victory, Gaara observes that he is at a disadvantage. Although he is undeniably strong and powerful, Arshas was raised as a swordmaster, and without magic, Dark Schneider may lose. The tense air is broken by a sudden lightning strike from Arshas, but Efreet parries the blow and sacrifices himself by throwing himself and the Ragingkin into the magic-absorbing vortex, closing it and restoring Dark Schneider's use of magic. However, he is momentarily distracted, allowing Arshas to pierce his head with her hand. But he survives the blow. The two continue their battle in the air, but their magic is evenly matched. Knowing such trivial magic could never affect the other, they both cast Exodus, but Gaara fears that this will just end up killing them both. Arshas and Dark Schneider crash into each other while covered in flames, but he hesitates at the last moment and is seemingly killed, to Gaara's horror. But Yoko believes he is still alive, knowing that he always pays back his debts when he borrows money from her. Arshas laments that something changed in Dark Schneider, as he would never hesitate on the field of battle like that, and she watches over the smoke and rubble caused by their battle. Dark Schneider is revealed to have survived the attack, declaring that he is too handsome to die. Everyone is greatly relieved, but this is quickly overwritten by concern, as it is apparent that he took a huge amount of damage. Arshas moves to finish him off, but he suddenly says "I love you," but it doesn't work, and she summons several thunder spirits, while Dark Schneider summons several fire spirits in response. He asks her motives for fighting for Kalsu, and she replies that she truly wants to create a new world, where poverty and inequality does not exist, recalling her experience at being discriminated for being a half-elf. She tries attacking him once more, but he embraces her, reminding her of how for 100 years he cared and nurtured her. Her heart wavers once more, but the accused spell on her activates, inflicting onto her great pain. She rushes to kill him as quickly as possible, unable to bear the swelling feelings in her chest for him as she recalls their past together, especially as the accused strengthens its grip on her. Arsh's wavering feelings causes her to momentarily lose control of her spirits, causing one of them to attack Yoko and Sheila. Dark Schneider is enraged at this act and swears he will kill her. The two prepare their final spells, Halloween. However, Arsh's nail had already turned red minutes earlier, and she's silently professing her love, only wishing that she die before she transforms into a toad. While channeling the Halloween, Dark Schneider sees a vision of Lucian, who points out that Arsh's is not fighting him because she hates him, but because of the accused spell put on her. This enrages him further, knowing that Abigail put the curse on her. He directs Halloween elsewhere, saving Arsh's from certain death. He approaches her, and upon seeing her red nail, asks her if it hurts. Wanting to save the girl whom he raised all these years, he rips out his own heart out, saving her life and fulfilling the prophecy of the crystal ball. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and want us to recap your favorite anime, then please remember to leave a like and subscribe and comment your thoughts or the next anime you want us to recap. And until next time guys, take care.